Namaskar friends, this is NJ, host on this channel, continuing our discussion on understanding the different houses of our astrological chart. In this video, we will try to understand the importance, signification and features of the 12th house of our astrological chart and what kind of results you can expect if you will find your 12th house lord's placement in different houses. So friends, to begin with, this is definitely a Dushtana Bhav, and whenever we talk about any Dushtana Bhav, the only thing which comes to our mind is difficulties, struggle, challenges. But this house has got a league of its own in this regard, that this is also a house of liberation, enlightenment. So it all comes down to in which dignity planets are present over here, what are the innate nature of the planets which are present over here, and what is the innate nature of your 12th house lord planet. So we will definitely going to have a detailed discussion on this topic, and just to simplify things for you, we will first try to understand the signification or features of this house on three categories of physical, mental and spiritual. See friends, to begin with, this house can be fairly summarized in one word as this is the house of losses. Now losses could be for your good as well. Investments, all the expenditures, all the charities could work in your favor as well. So it all comes down to in which dignity, in which condition and how much importance this 12th house holds in your life. For example, if your ascendant lord is present over here, your natal moon is present over here, your 10th house lord is present over here, then in that kind of scenario and circumstances, definitely 12th house is going to take predomination in your life. So coming back to our three categories. So if you want to understand this house or its features on a physical plane, so definitely friends, this house has everything to do in order to take you away from the drama of the life. So for example, someone who had a very happy married life, professional life, suddenly a notice came and he got transferred far away. So anything which takes you away, far away from your family, from your environment, from your natal residing place, could be seen as or could be connected with the signification of the 12th house. So all those people who either work in far away foreign land, who settle down in foreign land, who work in hospitals, prisons, monasteries, and they are always far away from the drama of the life of the world, could be seen as in the influence of the 12th house. Now if you want to understand it on a mental plane, so friends, definitely this house is a prime house for all the fantasy writer. See, it is very evident and very important to understand that all those people, like when we talk about J.K. Rowling, we talk about shows like Game of Thrones, where it is not a show which is just restricted to one episode. Here we are talking about creating a whole imaginary world, whole like reality in your creative work. So if you actually want to get submerged, get completely devoted towards your craft, and in order to create that kind of magnum opus work, you have to be far away, you have to be away from the world, completely submerged in your imagination. You have to live in your virtual reality, or you have to create that reality in your subconsciousness. Or these kind of accomplishments or work could be connected with the signification of the 12th house. And definitely all those people who for their studies they go to foreign land, all those people who take interest in yoga, meditation, spirituality, something to do with higher dimensions, or in order to learn these spiritual sciences or any field, they go to the foreign lands and learn it from the foreign teachers, mentors, experts. So that could be connected with the signification of the 12th house. And friends, when we talk about on the spiritual plane, so this house is very important because this is the house where all sort of magic, miracles, spiritual ascension, kundalini awakening, other dimensions, communication with other dimensions, other ethereal beings, the spirit world happen. So because of which, when we talk about becoming a tarot reader, becoming a faith healer, becoming a tantric, becoming a aghori, so that kind of whether you talk about right hand path of God or left hand path of God in any ways. Anything which is taking you towards the spirit world, which is like facilitating you making a connection with the other dimensions, can fairly be connected with the 12th house. Like the way, friends, if first house is us, so our dwelling, our domestic life is seen from the 4 houses ahead of it. So if divinity or God is in the 9th house, so in order to reach the dwelling or the residence of the God, you have to go 4 places ahead of it. So you are going to reach the 12th house. That is the only reason when we talk about attaining moksha, liberation, enlightenment, which is nothing just the merging of your Jivatma with the Paramatma, your individualized subconsciousness completely merging with the universal consciousness. So all of those signification are always connected with the 12th house only. So this house also tells about sexuality, your sexual inclinations. Friends, just because all of these Dushtana Bhav, whether we talk about 8th house or 12th house specifically, whatsoever happens here, that always remain bit secretive and always hidden from the world. Now 8th house is something which we hide from the world, and 12th house is something which is hidden from us. So that is the only reason when we talk about the spiritual practices undertaken by an individual on the 8th house or connected with the prominent 8th house. So there you still have a say. For example, if you have prominent planets in your 8th house, and that too specifically planets with spiritual significance like Saturn, Jupiter or Ketu, these kind of planets in a dignified state in the 8th house, and overall planetary alignments in your chart is also indicating a spiritual lifestyle. So then in those kind of situation, you can fairly foresee that your intense spiritual austerities, sadhana, where it could lead you, or what kind of siddhyas or what kind of blessings or spiritual powers you will be able to acquire or attain. But when we talk about 12th house, it's a journey on a dark tunnel where you do not know whether you are actually going to remain lucky in finding the divine light at the end of that tunnel, or in this lifetime your journey or your fruits or your accomplishments are just going to get saved in your Akashic record, or the results of which you might find in some other life. So what I'm trying to say over here is that this house has definitely to do with spiritual powers, and that too high degree and high level of spiritual authority. All those people who tend to remain lucky in doing astral travel, who remain lucky in seeing whatsoever they want to see, even in the prophetic dreams, divine intervention. So that kind of spiritual powers can be held and can be attributed to the 12th house. And like the way, friends, when we were talking about the sexuality, so just because 8th house, 12th house has somehow a secrecy involved in it, the only difference is that if 7th house represents your spouse, your matrimonial life, so whatsoever happen or the sexual activities undertaken or contributed to the 8th house has somehow got a deep connection within your conjugal bond or within your matrimonial ties. But if you will find planet to be under affliction, like you have Rahu afflicting your 12th house with the influence of Venus or Moon in the 12th house, so that many times give like rise to some sort of secretive and clandestine relationship as well. And just because with the 12th house, we also see the kind of losses which you are going to bear or endure on the account of enemies, specifically hidden enemies. Now hidden enemies could be who might be on your face, on your surface, whom you can see, or who are just always on the mode of trying to harm you, or who have jealousy, enmity, all sort of like ill will against you. So the losses or the harm which you will face on the account of hidden enemies, that is also get seen from the condition or the planetary strength in your 12th house. The good and bad of this house resides in its capacity to completely devote, completely surrender, completely sacrifice for any cause. Like here we are talking about completely dissoluting your ego, your identity, your complete persona, personality. Now in a good situation, this could happen in the form of all those people who get completely obsessed and dedicated towards a cause. Now this could be a patriotic concern, your dedication, devotion to your nation, or in spiritual cases, your dedication, your devotion towards your guru, towards your religion. Or in a negative case, if you have to even take up the negative case, so all those people who just get so much overwhelmed with the problems of the life that they run away or they do not want to be in the reality, and then they take refuge in drugs, all sort of intoxicants, just to avoid and escape the reality of the world, of the life. They take refuge in drugs and intoxicants. So that could also be seen as a good and bad side of this 12th house. So friends, summarizing, 12th house is definitely a prime house of spirituality. It is a prime house of all those people who work in hospitals, monasteries, who work in prisons, who work in correction centers. And for foreign settlement, we also look at the condition of the 12th house. Anything, whether on a mental plane, on a physical plane, or on a spiritual plane, whatsoever takes you away from the melodrama of the life can be seen as or can be attributed with the condition of the planets in your 12th house. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to tell you as a general indication, features of the 12th house of our astrological chart. Now we will try to understand what kind of results you will find if this 12th house lord is going to be present in different houses of your astrological chart. So friends, to begin with, if you will find your 12th house lord's placement in the first house, so it is a little bit sensitive placement, because first house is your ascendant, and whatsoever planet and in whichsoever dignity it is going to be present in the first house, it holds a say or key to color up your whole personality. So now what is going to happen is that you have to first give attention that what kind of planet is ruling the 12th house and in which condition, dignity it is present in the first house. So for example, there is no thumb rule over here. For a Aries ascendant native, beyond doubt, Jupiter has got the rulership of the 12th house, but it has also got the rulership of the 9th house of luck and fortune. And for the Aries ascendant native, Jupiter's Mool Trikon sign has gone to the 9th house. So because of which, if Jupiter is going to be present in the first house for a Aries ascendant native, it is going to bring good and benefic results more. But if you will take up the case of a Capricorn ascendant, then in those kind of circumstances, Jupiter has got the rulership and its Mool Trikona sign has gone to the 12th house, and coming in the first house, it is getting debilitated. So because of which, you have to take this placement with a pinch of salt. In a positive state, this placement could be seen as beneficial, that any of the interaction or association with the whether the foreign land or foreign people could help native or could benefit native. And friends, this placement's vulnerable aspect only lies in this fact that 12th house has everything to do with secrecy, with mysticism. Now just because the 12th house lord is going to be present in the first house, so that might create a layer of secrecy around you, which might make other people difficult to reach out to you. So your whole persona or personality might be clouded by a layer of secrecy or mysticism, or where people are not able to figure out your real true self. So even this placement could lead towards that kind of public image as well, which could happen for your good, which could happen for your bad as well. Like for example, we all know the artist like Banksy. So his whole is even in today's day and age of media, his photograph is still not accessible. So that kind of public image could be foreseen with this kind of placement. And friends, if you want to understand some of the other results, so just because with this placement, it will always be advisable and recommended that native should manage his or her finances in a very efficient way, because the 12th house, which represents your losses, the house lord of the losses is going to be present in the first house. And friends, whenever any house lord goes to any house, so for example, if your ascendant lord has gone to the 12th house, so that could be interpreted in a way that you by yourself will be drifted towards the signification of the 12th house. But now just because in your case the 12th house lord energy has come to your first house, so that means whether you like it or not, 12th house energies are definitely going to shadow you. So it is very important for you that if this kind of alignment, along with it, if you will find the influence of Rahu, Ketu, or your moon is in the influence of Rahu, Ketu or Saturn, so it becomes very important for any sort of divine refuge or divine protection or religious austerities are going to become very important for the native. Otherwise, due to some of the actions or deeds done by the native in the past lifetime, some sort of like spirit influence or like always vulnerability on the account of hidden enemies might trouble the native. Moving ahead, friends, now if you will find your 12th house lord's placement in the second house, so friends, prima facie this placement looks bit sensitive, like for example 12th house which represents your losses, and a house lord of the losses is going in the house of income. So you cannot straight away come to conclusion, because for example, for a Sagittarius ascendant native, Mars not only rules your 12th house, but it is going to get exalted in the second house. So it all comes down to in which dignity planet is present in your second house. Let's say for example, if planet is going to be present in a positive dignity, with this kind of alignment, this could actually bless the native in all sort of foreign connection, income from the foreign lands. Native might also remain very virtuous, very like always making hefty donations, charitable donations. So from all of those perspective, this placement could be seen as positive. But let's say for example, if you will find your like 12th house lord to be losing strength in the second house, for example, if you will take up the case of a Virgo ascendant where sun rules your 12th house and it is getting debilitated in the second house. So I have seen this kind of combination in all those charts where people actually squander and lose all of their family ancestral wealth because of their own like nefarious activities, all sort of gambling tendencies. So it all comes down to, friends, in which dignity your 12th house lord is going to be present in the second house. See, you have to understand this thing, no matter how much money you are making, how strengthened your second house of income or 11th house of opportunity is, but if it is getting weak in front of the house of expenses and losses, so no matter how much money you are making, you still have a big hole in your pocket. So no matter how much money is coming in, it is getting drained at the same time, not making you able to save enough money. So it all comes down to in which dignity your 12th house lord is going to be present in the second house. But let's say for example, if in your case a very minimalistic or spiritual lifestyle is getting qualified, so all those people who even remain lucky in benefiting because of the vows of silence, any sort of spiritual devotion, and all the like, specifically friends, even this combination can be seen as beneficial in getting good blessings from your departed ancestors as well. So family values, virtues, always on radar, always on the like the pedestal where your values, your virtues are getting tested, getting judged, how you make money. So all of that can be foreseen with this kind of placement of your 12th house lord in your second house. Moving ahead, friends, now if you will find your 12th house lord's placement in the third house, so friends, it is again a sensitive placement, but the blessing in disguise is that just because for your 12th house lord to reach the third house, so that means it has to go 4 places ahead of it. So because of which it is creating this kind of combination and alignment that you and your efforts, your sacrifices done on the account of your younger siblings, on the account of your friends, your companions, might pay some hefty spiritual dividends to you, some good spiritual merits to you. So now you might have some sort of karmic debt with your younger siblings, with your friends, which your soul might have to pay back in this lifetime. So like I have also seen all those kind of cases where the elder sibling of the house tend to remain responsible even for the expenses of the younger siblings as well, or all those people who remain very much responsible or accountable for their friends. So that kind of responsible, empowered approach and dependable approach and giving refuge to your youngers or to your companions could be foreseen with this kind of placement. Like, you might not even realize how much of your siblings are actually sacrificing for you for your well-being. So this could be seen as a positive indication. Along with that, just because 12th house also has to do with long distance foreign travels, third house in itself is a house of all sort of short travels. So this could be seen as a very good combination where lot many travels might benefit the native. So it all comes down to, friends, in which dignity your 12th house lord is going to be present in the third house, because it is actually a very sensitive alignment. If your 12th house lord is going to be present in a dignified state in the third house, so you might not even realize that how much the divinity or the astral beings or your guardian angels or your Ish Devta are helping you, empowering you, giving you that sort of like spark, creative spark in channelizing and planning, strategizing all of your moves. And all those people who even tend to remain very much lucky in any sort of their chosen craft, like all those musicians, artists who have some sort of like their inspiration, some sort of guru, some sort of mentors who guide them, advise them. So this could be seen as good in so many regards. The vulnerable part over here is that if your 12th house lord will be present in the third house and it is going to be losing strength, then in those kind of circumstances, miscommunication and just because of your own recklessness or some sort of concerns of greed might overshadow your relationship within your vicinity or with your siblings. Moving ahead, friends, now if you will find your 12th house lord's placement in the 4th house. So friends, this placement is again little bit sensitive and vulnerable in this regard, that just because 12th house also represents your sleep, the state of dreams, quality of sleep, and 4th house is the house of inner contentment, your emotional fulfillment, security, stability, domestic life, your relationship with your mother. So if your 12th house lord is going to be well placed, dignified in the 4th house, so definitely it is going to empower you. But if you will find your 12th house lord to be losing strength and getting afflicted in the 4th house, so then in that kind of circumstances it might create always anxiety, insecurities, fear of unknown, and even your relationship with your mother might get afflicted. Or native, see, the positive side of this alignment is that native might have multiple residences, like all those people who tend to take a lot many foreign trip, or they have their residences in different countries. So from that regard, this placement could be seen as beneficial. But on a emotional, mental plane, if you will find that any of your benefic planet is ruling your 12th house and it is losing out its strength in the 4th house, then it could create the circumstances and situation of fear and the concerns of instability and little bit of the difficulties in your relationship within your domestic life. Moving ahead, friends, now if you will find your 12th house lord's placement in the 5th house, so it is a little bit sensitive placement which needs to be taken with a pinch of salt. To begin with, the only good or the benefit aspect of this alignment is that if you will find your 12th house lord to be in a dignified state in the 5th house. So for the spiritual austerities perspective, religious austerities perspective, bhakti yoga, devotion towards the gods, towards the higher plane, higher dimensions. From that perspective, this placement can be seen as very beneficial, where let's say for example, whichsoever god or deity you are worshipping, you have your devotion towards Lord Shiva, towards Krishna, or whatsoever your religion is, higher ethereal beings might help you in your journey and your steps towards your chosen god, your Ish Devta. So you might remain lucky in actually exploring and finding out a lot on your this journey towards your Ish Devta, your devotion, your love towards Ish Devta. But apart from that, when we talk about in general, like all the 5th house related signification, specifically your relationship with your children, so that might remain little bit tumultuous, little bit uncertainty. All those people who initially face difficulty in conceiving or concerns of the progeny or concerns on the account of childbirth. This could only happen only if in your chart your Jupiter is already weak and your 12th house lord is also losing strength in the 5th house. Then in that kind of circumstances it could create difficulty in your relationship with children. But apart from that, friends, with this kind of alignment, I will also not advise the native to take uncalculated risk. Let's say, for example, if in your case like any sort of like speculation, stock market, trading is getting qualified, so it is very advisable for you to take calculative risk. Otherwise, with this kind of calculation, I have seen lot of people who lose big chunk of money in gambling or in these kind of speculative nature of work. Moving ahead, friends, now if we will find your 12th house lord's placement in the 6th house. So friends, this could be seen as a good yoga, because if there will be any exchange between the Dushtana Bhav, or even if a house lord of a Dushtana Bhav goes to another Dushtana Bhav, it holds this potential and capacity that whatsoever diligent hard work you will do, whatsoever resistance you will face, challenges you will face, they might end up giving you benefit, giving you gains. So all those challenges could actually work in your favor. So friends, as you know that when we talk about 6th house is the house of your challenges on the account of debts, enemies, all sort of competition. So now what is going to happen over here is that if your 12th house lord is going to be well placed, dignified in the 6th house, so it might give you that sort of power of clairvoyance, that or this could be your past life good merits which might help you in this lifetime in facing any sort of competitive situation, in how to deal with your enemies or any sort of conflicting situation. So now it's very simple. For example, for someone who has his occupation or livelihood as a doctor, as a surgeon, as a health expert, fitness expert, as a lawyer, so all these people can actually get benefited because of this placement in this regard, that their intuition, their intuitive intelligence might help them in all sort of testing times or all sort of sensitive situation where they have to take important decision. And friends, the only vulnerable aspect of this placement over here is that if you will find your 12th house lord to be losing its strength in the 6th house, so then in those kind of circumstances, enemies or the concerns of health and debts might overpower or overwhelm the native. Now as you know that 12th house in itself has got a secrecy and a little bit energy of karmic energy and mysticism energy involved over there. So whatsoever might be happening in the life of the native, he might not even be able to understand the reason or source of those troubles. So for this kind of situation or these kind of alignments, taking refuge in spirituality, taking refuge in specifically even the devotions and the worship of the ferocious deities, like when we talk about Kal Bhairav, we talk about goddess Kali, we talk about Lord Shiva, Lord Hanuman. So that is actually going to bring some very good result, and it is actually going to protect the native in tackling or taming the circumstances or the signification of the 6th house. Moving ahead, friends, now if we will find your 12th house lord's placement in the 7th house. So friends, if your 12th house lord is going to be dignified over here, so this could be seen as good sign in this way that you might have some sort of business connection and business dealings with foreign land or with foreign national. Even when we talk about your matrimonial ties, like all those people who have intercaste marriage or they marry someone completely foreign to their culture, to their nationality, to their belief, even from that regard this placement can be seen as beneficial. And even from the sensual aspect within the committed relationship, this placement is actually creating some very good energy. But that all is only going to happen if your 12th house lord is going to be present in a dignified state. Otherwise, friends, trust me, if your 12th house lord is not well placed in your 7th house, then this placement holds the potential of creating a havoc in someone's life. Like all those people who get a cheating partner, like all those people who get married and they lose a major portion of their wealth just because of the divorce settlement, or all sort of mystery, all sort of concerns of lies, secrecy in the relationship could be foreseen with this kind of placement. So it becomes very important to see the individual strength of the Jupiter in the chart, individual strength of your 7th house lord in the chart, and in which dignity the 12th house lord is present in the 7th house. Because friends, for example, even if you have to take up the case of a positive situation, so for example, if Jupiter being your 12th house lord, if it is well placed in the 7th house and there is some influence of Ketu over there, so you might even remain lucky in finding a very spiritual partner where your partner's a gut feel or instincts or intuition might always help you, or the good karma of your partner might help you in progress in this lifetime. So it all comes down to in which dignity your 12th house lord is present in the 7th house. Moving ahead friends, now if you will find your 12th house lord's placement in the 8th house, so that can be seen as a good combination, good placement, because whenever any Dushtana house lord goes to another Dushtana house, it creates a good energy and become capable of giving good results. And in this kind of alignment, your 12th house lord has gone 9 places ahead of it. So whatsoever concerns you might be dealing with concerning and hovering around 8th house, the energy of your 12th house lord is actually going to inspire you, is going to motivate you in dealing with the challenges of the 8th house. And friends, from any sort of spiritual perspective, this placement is actually creating some very good energy. Like if in native's case, spiritual austerities, dealing with taxes, insurance, revenue, and even if native is going to be a psychic, interested in research, any sort of exploration, so this placement is actually going to create some very positive energy which is actually going to help the native succeed in any of his endeavors connected with the 8th house. And even friends, from the sensual aspect or sensuality aspect, this placement is definitely going to create some very good energy. It all comes down to what is the innate nature of your 12th house lord, and in which dignity it is going to be present, and in which influence and conjunction it is going to be present in the 8th house. Like the way I have already explained this thing, that with this kind of alignment, not only you might remain lucky in getting the fruits of your past life merits, but even within this life you have this innate capacity not only to succeed in the 8th house related matters where we talk about sudden unpredictable financial gains, remaining lucky in speculation, remaining lucky in getting wills, inheritances, legacies, but also making use of all of those earned knowledge, earned siddhi, earned financial value, financial capital, in order to inspire other people, or in order to use that for all sort of philanthropic concerns and causes as well. And even for getting like good spiritual siddhi, for lot of foreign distance travels, foreign settlement, this could be seen as a very positive placement. Moving ahead friends, now if you will find your 12th house lord's placement in the 9th house, so friends, it is creating some very good energy, because now what is going to happen over here is that, see, 9th house is a very important house which gives us hope in any of the difficulties of the life. 9th house is a very important house because all the mentorship, all the advices, our approach and our attitude towards divine, towards divinity is studied, is seen from the condition of the 9th house. And just because your 12th house lord, which is going to be present over here, and in order to reach over here it has to go 10 places ahead of it, so now this is giving us good indication that on a material plane, like for like any sort of foreign travels, any of the concerns of the business of import export, immigration concerning business, this is actually creating some very good energy. A native might also remain very highly qualified with this kind of placement, and this placement is actually creating good energy in this regard that majority of the advices or mentorship which native get attracted towards might be completely foreign in nature, like all those people who these days take interest in the teachings of some guru or mentor from a different culture, different religion, foreign land. So that kind of combination contribution can be foreseen with this kind of placement. But friends, the good part over here is that, like the way I have already said this thing, that 12th house is the prime house of enlightenment, of liberation, of moksha. And with the energy of your 12th house lord coming to the 9th house, it is actually creating some very good energy that your religious austerities, your devotion towards your religion, towards the gods, can pave path to your redemption, towards your enlightenment, your moksha. So from that perspective, this placement can be seen as a very good energy. Moving ahead, friends, now if you will find your 12th house lord's placement in the 10th house. So friends, it all comes down to in which dignity your 12th house lord is going to be present in the 10th house. Because now what is going to happen over here is that, see, 12th house is the house of secrecy and 10th house is all of our actions undertaken in this lifetime which are always under the public eye. So for example, if in your case your 12th house lord is going to be losing its strength in the 10th house, so you might remain vulnerable towards all of your secrets, might get exposed in the public, and this could actually harm the person more if he is already famous or he works or belongs to any sort of mass media related profile. So there it might hit the native hard if only the 12th house lord is not going to be well placed or dignified in the 10th house, which might also makes natives terms with his bosses or people in authority bit questionable, bit argumentative, bit troublesome. So that is a negative kind of way of studying this placement. But in the positive case, friends, just because for the 12th house lord to be present in the 10th house, it means it has gone 11 places ahead of it. So now this could be foreseen in all those kind of circumstances where in people's daily work lifestyle there is lot of like you can say the concerns of sexuality is involved, secrecy is involved, mysticism is involved. So like all those people who become and who join secret services, or in their nature of work, their charisma, sex appeal is very much an integral part of their occupation, of their livelihood. And the good part over here is that native is also going to gain from it because 12th house lord has gone 11 places ahead of it. So whatsoever your charisma, your strategies are going to be, you might remain lucky in gaining out of that. It all comes down to in which dignity your 12th house lord is going to be present in the 10th house. Moving ahead, friends, now if you will find your 12th house lord's placement in the 11th house. So friends, you have to take this placement with a pinch of salt because it all comes down to in which dignity your 12th house lord is going to be present in the 11th house. So let's say for example, if we will take up the case of a Scorpio ascendant. So in their case, Venus has got the rulership of the 12th house and it is getting debilitated in the 11th house. So now what is going to happen over here is that native might face some strong setback because of his partner's fault, partner's mistake, or in general any of his female colleague or any sort of sexual or sensual entanglement might become a reason for the defamation of the native. So it all comes down to in which dignity your 12th house lord is going to be present in the 11th house. Now friends, the good part over here is that any sort of spiritual austerities or any sort of spiritual aspirations of the native might ask for a big sacrifice on the account of native with this kind of alignment. So let's say for example, if in your case all of your planetary alignments are in a very strengthened state to begin with, and most important, your ascendant lord is in a strengthened state and your overall planetary alignments is indicating a spiritual lifestyle, a path, a yogic path. So with this kind of alignment, native might remain lucky in actually sacrificing all of the materialistic pleasures, all of his desires towards attaining enlightenment or towards attaining God or elevating himself to higher dimensions. So it all comes down to in which dignity your 12th house lord is going to be present in the 11th house. But in general or for the random people with this kind of alignment, the kind of people you associate yourself, the kind of people you hang out with, you have to always remain alert and cautious regarding the credibility of all those people. With this kind of alignment, like the way I have already explained this thing, that whatsoever spiritual austerities and devotion you are going to have towards the higher beings, higher dimensions, towards the gods, that can actually help you in order to fulfill any of your wishes. The only one thing which I want to advise people, that you should not take any sort of deceptive measures, deceptive means, or like all those people who do not even hesitate in exploiting their own people in their network just for their own intention, just for their own gains. So with this kind of alignment, any sort of deceptive actions, activity, association needs to be avoided. And last friends, if you will find your 12th house lord's placement in the 12th house, so that can be seen as a very good indication, because friends, no matter which house is in scrutiny, if the house lord is present over there, it is definitely going to protect the signification of that house. And 12th house, which is a very secretive house, it is a highly potent spiritual house. So because of which, with this kind of placement, definitely native is going to have a very religious mindset, very charitable mindset. Native might also have strong intuition, strong psychic awareness, and any sort of foreign association, foreign networking might help the native. So it all comes down to the innate nature of your 12th house lord. Definitely it is if it is going to be a planet like Venus, so native might also have a very charismatic personality. Native might also remain lucky in getting and enjoying good sensual pleasures in the life. If it is Mercury, it might give you support in having a good foreign trade, good foreign relation. If it is Jupiter, spiritual lifestyle. If it is Saturn, again ascetic, a very like strong visionary qualities, a very meditative, strong meditative powers can be foreseen. So it all comes down to which planet is present and protecting the signification of the 12th house. But in a nutshell, with this kind of placement, having a good insight, good intuition, good foreign relation, a strong, a very healthy, hearty sleep and good connection in the foreign land can be foreseen with this kind of placement of your 12th house lord in the 12th house itself. So this is something friends which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs for the 12th house and its lord's placement in different houses. For furthermore updates and notifications on the divine science of astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Thank you.